Morning, everyone. Shall we start with the public here? Pātaka te hā ki te uta.
Pātaka te hā ki te tōna.
Kia mā kina kina ki uta. Kia mā tautaki whānau. E hiha ki ana ki te atukura. E tio, e huka, e hauhu. Tihe, moira. Good morning.
Morning.
So it's 3:24. Here we come. So we're being live streamed right now. And welcome to anybody on live stream or watching it on YouTube. Welcome to everybody here in the room, to staff and board members. And just a wee reminder to everybody that any criticism or disrespect of elected members or staff will be, we'll have to stop the discussion. We have apologies from Luana Swindell and Howard is on Zoom. Is there anybody else? That's Tyrone might be late.
Oh, can we see Howard, please? Oh, Howard's not here yet.
Howard's not here. Welcome, Tyrone. No, perfect timing. We're just about to talk about it, really.
So apologies from Howard for the lateness.
Move the lecture. Oh, a mover is Kathy, and a seconder. Asif is seconding. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Thank you. Declarations of interest as always. Please bring them up or during the discussion if it is relevant. Moving on to confirmation of previous minutes, which you've all read. Now I have.
Do you want to say it like you think that we haven't read it?
No. That was supposed to be a faithful statement. Did it come across that way? I'm so sorry.
Read them diligently. Yeah. So much that I'll move that we accept.
Moving it, okay. Thank you, Tyrone's moved it. Any seconded me? Nigel, thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. One public forum today. Thank you, Victoria. She's come in especially to talk to us today about action on the 3rd of February. Is that right?
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I just have a few questions as to a number of ratepayers. Will give you a better idea. A little map of the activity and outlining what has transpired. On February 3rd, after I lost power on a Saturday morning, a cruise ship was in the harbor. In some areas, the outage continued the better part of the day. And the digger that caused the damage went on to then strike a water main while the town is at a level 2 water restriction. And I understand it took until about 3 a.m. to get it finally repaired as water ran down Walnut Lane, as we call it. So I would see that as a fairly serious problem. 2 incidents that took place within a matter of hours or within 24 hours. And in addition, the once natural rural lane that provides access to numerous residences has been altered to a significant degree. It used to be lovely. I walk my dogs up there all the time. And now it's just ripped apart. So residents have been asking me, and I don't know, if the activity took place with the knowledge and approval of Christchurch City Council in terms of due process and having all the necessary paperwork in place with regard to earth moving work and consents. So my question to you is, would the community board please verify if the activity actually requires council permissions and district plan consent? And if so, was all the necessary paperwork in place prior to the activity taking place on February 3rd? So that's it.
And also, what kind of community, informing and awareness about this activity that took place? So it's obviously happened out of the blue.
Yeah, I think the neighbors in the area were quite shocked. And of course, it's on a Saturday and it's hard to do anything. And I don't have the facts, so I'd like to turn it over to you because you have sources that you can ask within council, the planning department or whomever you need to speak to. But if the paperwork's in place, fine. And if not, then I hope the matter will be rectified.
Can
Is it the bottom?
so this was on private land.
Well, I understand it's on private land, but you know, it's all hearsay. I have no actual facts except that I went to the district plan and found the location.
It was on private land.
It was on private land, so it's not a, it's not a board
But it
issue.
certainly served
Public land.
public, well, it would be, what do you call it? A little reserve that would house the electricity and the water. For a digger to go through and number one, cut the power, and then number two, go back and damage the water supply, I would think would be a significant imposition.
Is that the bottom of Mike's driveway? Is that the sort of?
Yes, it goes right
Yeah.
And if you have a moment, just drive over there.
Yeah, well
We'll
done.
go Tyrone and then you.
Well, I don't really have a question, but through you, Madam Chair, just to comment that I've actually contacted the OCE about this and received some feedback about who the obligations sit with and what the expectations are on both this and the loss of water as well, so that I can share with everybody in this room. More than happy to do that. And yeah.
Look at that.
That'd be great.
Tyrone's onto it.
Well, it might not be to your satisfaction, Victoria, but it is information that I'm.
No, that's fine. It's just, I'm kind of working in the dark here. So I don't know. As are a number of neighbors in the area. They just would like to have the information.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating for sure. Yeah.
So have they asked for it? Did they ring the council? Did they do a CSR? Did they?
I know one person did. The other one expressed reservation, but I don't know if they've taken action. I don't know.
Right, because really, I mean, if they need to find out something like that, they need to bring up or email or do, the board isn't the CSR system.
No, I'm aware
So,
of that.
yeah.
Found it.
I just have another quick question through you, Madam Chair, to Victoria, which is that I had contact from a gentleman called John Dodson, and so you know.
I know John well.
So I actually forwarded the information onto him. So sorry if I didn't pass it on to you. Yeah, I haven't heard back from him, but it's good that I can give you this information for sure.
Well, he's an adjoining neighbor and he's quite concerned.
Yep, legitimate concerns. Yeah, but I have got some feedback from staff on that one. Yeah.
So it's already been planned out. So the board doesn't.
Yes, so as far as next actions, it sounds like there's been some good action
that's
taken
great.
place really, and hopefully that's
Send
sounding
it to you right now,
encouraging to you.
Victoria.
And hopefully the outcome of that will be encouraging as well. We
Okay.
look forward to hearing updates about how that.
Yeah, I don't want to point a finger.
No, it's reasonable.
It's just disturbing
Yes.
that it happened not once but twice.
Yeah.
And the fact, sorry, just through you, the double whammy is like, I mean, it's knocked out the electricity supply,
And
and it's just like,
it's disturbing.
it could have been an absolute catastrophe.
Well, somebody could have gotten killed,
Yeah.
Cutting through an electrical supply is pretty serious.
Thank you very much, Victor. I appreciate you coming and reporting to us about that. That's nice to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Victoria. Is the water, is it still?
It's been
repaired.
repaired,
that's good.
More than lots of work.
One neighbor, went on. It took them, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours and they completed the job at 3 a.m. So I would think that would be an expensive repair.
Yes, and I'm not sure what recourse we have with private landowners when that sort of stuff happens, but
Yeah.
it's a bugger.
I'll leave it in your hands. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
you. Have a good day. We don't have any presentations by appointment, no presentations. So we'll move on to reserve committee meeting minutes, and we've got Natasha coming to present to us about that today, which is fantastic. Welcome on up, Natasha.
Morning.
Wonderful.
So we have 10 sets of minutes to be received today for the Reserve Committee minutes. I'd just like to draw your attention because O'Kane's Bay has received 2 nominations for representatives from Ngāi Tahu for the Reserve Committee, which is really exciting for the Reserve Committee. The terms of reference do request local representation from the Brunaga, and it's really cool and exciting for the Reserve Committee to have that.
That's good.
And we have received a resignation from Matthew Riley from the Pigeon Bay Reserve Committee as well.
Fantastic. Yes, so we've probably got some really good questions for you after reading through these. Because I'd like to hear a little bit more back about other reserve committees, how they're going. You know, anything of interest you feel that we need to know as a board as well.
Sure. The Reserve Committees often meet over the summer period, so there was a lot of their summer period meetings, specifically Little Akalona. They often meet over the summer period. A lot of the members are batch owners and people who come in for holidays as well as the local people. So it's why we've got so many minutes.
Anybody have any questions for Natasha before we
Yeah, I've got,
do
I mean, yes.
this?
So just on, thanks Natasha. Just on items 1E, F and G, the Littleton Reserves Committee. Got 3 bunches of minutes here. Is there any reason why there's kind of, what's the issue there?
There was a changeover in community development staff and there was a changeover in chairperson as well. So there was some miscommunication and confusion in the secretary and they've played catch up.
That's cool. And 1G in the staff recommendation, just like the unconfirmed minutes. I note there was only 4 people at that meeting. That's not a quorum, is it? Not for that committee. So, I mean, we can't accept minutes that aren't legit.
No, they're just unconfirmed. Anyway.
So does that mean that they, how did they become confirmed? Sorry.
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, no, I mean.
At their next meeting, they will confirm their minutes the same way that the board would do.
Okay, and if they didn't have a quorum, they wouldn't be able to confirm those minutes unless if they went through those same issues and then did it at that meeting. Okay. Okay, good.
Well, I'm just wondering if, I mean, if we get the minutes from a meeting that didn't happen because there was no quorum, how can we accept them?
You can accept them as unconfirmed.
Oh, yeah. I guess.
And you could ask for clarification. Well, they've got a question mark in there, so you can certainly ask for clarification around that. Because that isn't their quorum.
Okay, that's cool. And just another question, if that's all right. There was a lot of, and you might not know the answer to this, but I might as well just ask. The tour must have been around sort of September, October, when there was a whole bunch of spraying going on at Uramo. And the community got one diverse, and there was a bit of sort of like calming the farm on that one. Was that maybe that was even further ago, longer? Maybe that was at Easter.
Quite a while ago.
Was that last Easter? No. Jeez.
Was it? No.
Maybe it was.
There's something just recently about.
I remember talking to Ruben about it. When was he? How long? He's gone. Anywho,
No.
do we have any? Have we had any sort of any? I'm not picking it up in the minutes, but just any kind of issues that have arisen out of that, or is it just all gone ahead and been a bit of a non-event sort of thing? Do you know? No, you don't know. That's all right.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah,
just
yeah. No, there was, if I could answer that, there was quite a lot of follow-up between staff and the locals around all of that. Yeah, yeah, there was.
Is there any sort of?
There was lots of comms around. There was a bit of jumping to conclusion about how how that would be done and how bad it might be and all the rest of it. And it wasn't, it was very appropriately managed by staff
Yeah, well,
and
I thought so at the time.
communicated back via letter to those residents who received the letter in their mailbox from the person who was complaining about it. So there was a lot of follow-up done.
Is that something that we'd expect to see reflected through the minutes?
I would expect some comments to be in there.
I'm just wondering if that's quite a major issue that we probably, I don't know, it's just a comment that I'd expect to sort of see something to that effect in the minutes, but maybe it's been in previous minutes and I just haven't picked it up, or I don't know. I don't know.
Would you like some clarification around it?
There's something on page 29 of the agenda under whichever meeting it is of theirs, Weeds and Urumai Reserve, but on page 29 it talks about way forward. Committee agrees, council suggested multi-pronged approach to targeted spraying, blah, blah, blah. So that was all, and then there's a resolution voted on and agreed.
Yep, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And now the spraying's all happened, presumably, although it's like
it's an ongoing program. It's an ongoing program.
So I guess, so the spraying's happened, but am I picking that up in these minutes? Not really necessarily.
Spraying's conducted, yeah.
But they were saying that this needs to be, it's not just a one and done, is it?
No, it's an ongoing program of work.
Right. So we're not saying, So in future minutes, we'll presumably see things like a report back on how that's going.
I would expect they certainly discuss that.
Because there's a lot of, we're going to go and spray old man's beard. There's a big infestation. It's just about, just the follow up there.
Okay.
Anyway, look, there's nothing to, sorry, I'm
just
something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Well, sure. Okay. Should we go back and
just one other comment. And I don't know if it's appropriate to raise it under this agenda item or from the members' exchange. But here goes. I note that there's a resignation from Pigeon Bay Reserve Committee, and I think board members would have picked up a notification of another tendered resignation from the Pigeon Bay Reserve Committee with some concerns. And I'm just wondering what we need to do to address those.
Staff,
I mean, I don't know if this is related, but hey,
staff will be
talking
following
to
up.
them.
Yeah.
So that's already happening, presumably.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because the reserve committees are bodies of this board, and they have terms of reference and a handbook, and when governance isn't being followed, especially with Pigeon Bay too, because it's has a camping ground that is essentially managed by the council's campground manager. So there's some ongoing discussions happening, and there has been for some time with that committee.
They had a meeting recently, I think on 30th. So it would be good to refer to that meeting. What was the outcome of that meeting? So, when staff contacts them.
Do you attend those meetings?
Yes, but not the previous one.
Okay, and because there's another meeting next week.
Not 19th.
Yeah.
So they had done some discussion about how to move forward, what would be the structure of the committee. So I don't know what was the outcome of that meeting. So when staff contacts, it would be good to ask about that. That would be very helpful in relation to both resignations, that the one which tied on rep and the one which is in the meeting.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah. Thank you. Right, going to get things rather quickly, Nigel. Yeah.
I just on that, I'm going to one Agatanane meeting tomorrow, I think, this week anyway. It's just that they were in their agenda, they were talking about doing a submission to the long-term plan about funding. Does that have, or do all the reserves have to put in?
They can. They certainly can. And it's
submissions.
Will
it impact if they don't, the funding if they don't?
Well, some don't have specific funding. Garden Tane has usually had specific funding, and they've been very good at doing their submissions and attracting that funding. So
Okay.
they don't have to, but it certainly is a good idea if reserve committees want to see more development on the reserves, then that they do that and seek the board support with those so that you can support them through the process as well.
Thank you. Just process.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ryan, did you have a question?
I did, just on the little Akaloa minutes, 1A, I think it is.
2 minutes. Yeah.
And on page 17, 4.3, I'm glad people are looking at my Facebook post, so that's something.
What you wanted to say?
On this massively subscribed public meeting, I'll say, oh, please subscribe to my Facebook channel. But no, I just note that there's a desire, obviously, there to upgrade, a community facility, basketball hoop, like we did in the bonds. Is that something that's kind of trickled its way into an LPTP? I'm just wondering where that sits, because I haven't heard. This is the first I've heard of it, actually.
This is just asking to upgrade the hoop on the court, right? I mean, it's not a big...
Oh, yeah, it's just the hoop, isn't it?
It's just...
It's like a trip down to Rebel Sport.
Something like that.
So already here, they have the basketball dug into the ground.
Oh, that's the community board to manage that. If they come and ask.
Well, I understand staff are talking to them
Great,
anyway.
all right.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Okay, so what we need to do now is take note of all of these minutes, especially note in regard to the resignation of Matthew Rowley and the Papatipu Runanga representatives. So, can I have a mover, please?
Yeah.
Sure. That was Nigel and seconded by Tyrone. All those in favour? Against? Okay, it's carried. Thank you very much, team.
Thank you.
And we've still got Natasha, wonderful Natasha here talking to us today about the Equirome Museum Advisory Committee meeting. Thank you. What page are they? 25. Thank you.
Lovely. So we've got 2 sets of the Equirome Museum Advisory Committee minutes and then some minute attachments. Some exciting stuff will be happening for them in 2024 because the Equirome Museum's acquisitions and disposals policy is up for renewal this year, and so something the advisory committee is going to be working on is workshopping and renewing that policy, and that's going to be happening at the start of this year.
And what can it mean for the museum?
It is saying what they can bring into the museum, and then if something were to be disposed of, how does that happen? What's the process of bringing new collection in and then moving on?
There's been quite a lot of discussion around in the community about their collecting policy. There's reference to a private collection being donated that they didn't want. They do have storage issues and they do have lots of things to work through. So it's a good chance to have a good look at that. And also, I guess when collections get to a certain point and they're not related to the area or their policy, can they move them on or can they give them back, all that kind of thing?
Yeah.
A lot to work through.
I think it's like anything gifted to the council, that council still gets to choose whether or not they receive the gift and take it on, because there's always operational costs to maintain whatever it is, whether it's a piece of artwork or something. So
That's good. Any other questions? Maybe else there before we move on? No. Okay, so we need to vote to confirm your meeting minutes. Can I have a mover, please? I'll move on. Okay, Nigel, you moving? I'll second that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Head-to-head walkway, working party, meeting notes. Excellent.
Oh, I've got a bit of a problem with this. Why isn't it happening?
There's been a lot going on.
So we've got 3 sets of notes to be received today. There's been some really good progress made by the Working Party, and there's a really nice feel of the Working Party as well. And this year, the Working Party is going to be having a local traffic engineer coming to one of their meetings, and they're going to be able to discuss everything with him that's relevant to the Working Party.
Looks like some really good work going on there. Do you have any questions about that?
Well, I don't have any questions.
No,
Good.
nothing you can say really. Good work.
Can I make a comment? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, like I just want to thank Natasha for the work that she's done on this and just echo her comments that things have really started to go really well in that space. It's just some good synergies sort of happening and council staff working on in that space has been really good. So that's all.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's encouraging.
Would you like to move those?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Aaron, move those, seconded by Kathy, and all those in favour?
Right.
Against, and carried. Thank you, Natasha.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And that's, most of these people we're going to have for the briefing subject here online, so we might just have a little bit of wrangling to get everybody.
Yeah,
sorted.
Alex and he's doing it now, and Rachel's just chasing everything else.
Okay, great job.
We've got people coming in.
We'll just do a little bit of a trickle. So who have we got? Alex and Emily.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Kia ora.
Morena. Just waiting on a few extras, but shouldn't be too long. And we've been pretty quick with our minute meetings so far, so sorry about that. We may even be running a little bit early. No,
We're not. You've done well though. Waiting for lots, actually.
Okay. Alex, are you presenting? Do you have something to present to us?
Yeah,
from
I'm-
your perspective, or-
Yeah, I can share. Let me share my screen.
Great. We'll get that all ready so that we're sorted. Thank you.
You guys see that? I can't see.
Yes, yes, we can.
Karina and
Brilliant. So, are you ready for?
Well, yeah, I don't know who we're waiting from your side, that's all.
I think it's just Emily and I this morning, and then
Okay.
Christchurch, New Zealand are also on the call, is my understanding.
Okay.
So my name's Alex. I'm the head of event delivery for SailGP. So this is my first event with SailGP, but understanding the huge success last year down in Littleton. And then Emily, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Emily. I'm the Transport Manager for SailGP for this year. Also my first SailGP, but really excited to be meeting and talking about this event with you this morning.
Fantastic.
Brilliant. So we're just going to take you through a few slides just to give you sort of a high-level overview of the event, sort of how it ran last year, and then how we can engage with the community more and learnings and things like that from season 3. So let me just here. So the highlights from season 3. So I'm not sure if any of you were at the event, but obviously a huge success with lots of learnings. But we sold out, 100% of the tickets within 24 hours, which was fantastic. 14 million total economic impact, with 55% travelling from outside of the host region. 22,000 total visitor nights in Christchurch. 105 accredited media, 136.7 million international TV audience, which is obviously huge. 100K audience, 660 youth through the Cell GP Inspire program, which is something that we will at least hit that, if not, build on that this year as well. And then 15% spend increase in the Littleton Township. So that's just, I guess, some high level overview from last season. So we obviously need to build on that this year. We have met with the Littleton Harbour Business Association and just to sort of get their input on what success would look like to them and improvements from season 3. And I guess, the main outtake was that they want to see more spillover from the CLG township. So we're working with them and Christchurch NZ on how we can improve on that from last year. And points, I guess, that the main key points would be better communications around, I think it was a little bit of Littleton is closed, which it certainly isn't closed for business, and that cars can exit at any time. So still to, if you're a regular visitor to Littleton, it's still available for you to come. So we're working with Christchurch NZ's comms team as well as ours to make sure that's super clear that Littleton is still open for business. We're obviously going to promote the markets there. And then with early arrivals, we're looking at doing a free shuttle that will rotate, just continuously go from the race to Littleton to try and get some of the spectators up there before and post their sailing. We're also, Venues Aotautahi are doing the catering, so they are engaging with local businesses in the area to see whether we can use them for some of our race stadium stall holders. So I understand they did that last year and it was a success. So we're trying to see if we can build on that program this year. And we'll also be looking to see what events that we can host in Littleton. So Breaking Boundaries is one that we will be doing there on the Thursday night at the Littleton Arts Factory, and looking to see whether we hold a Champions for Change event down at the race stadium, but perhaps take those guests up to Littleton for a lunch before or after the event. So looking at doing those things. So onto the site map. It hasn't changed hugely from season 3. The biggest changes are that we have moved the craning area around to Naval Point, so around beside the Naval Point Club, and that has allowed us to put in an additional 3,600 grandstand seats along the waterfront. So that takes us up to just over 10,000 spectators per day, which is obviously a big increase in numbers, which is fantastic. And then just some key sort of milestones. Today is a big day. Today we've started our site build on site, which is really exciting. So we're there for the next 5 weeks building. So it will we're starting at the eastern end up towards Littleton Port Company sort of headquarters and working our way down through the site. So it's a tiered sort of build so that we're not stopping too much access into there. And then come race week, which is the week commencing the 18th of March, things will start kicking off on the Wednesday really is where we do our team-based tours. And then we have practice sailing from Thursday. Friday's our sort of official rehearsal day where we'll have the helicopters in the air and things like that. And then obviously the race days on Saturday and Sunday. And then we'll start pack out and we'll be out of there by sort of early to mid April. So that's the basic timeline. So I'll just hand over to Emily now to talk through the traffic management stuff.
Thanks, Alex. So this map that you see on the screen now is the public facing map of the traffic management plan, or the TMP. It as well has not changed significantly from last year. The only difference in terms of exiting the one-way, there is a one-way system through Governors Bay Road and up Sumner Road as well. So there is, and that's exit only. So there'll be no traffic able to come in on either of those roads. The Bridle Path Road and through the tunnel is the only entrance in to Littleton between 12 and 6 p.m. The reason for that and the provision within safety is that last year the feedback was there were a lot of vehicles that were parking on both sides of those roads trying to get a glimpse of the racecourse, which caused congestion and a risk to emergency vehicles get up into those really dry areas or be able to get past traffic when it's a two-way flow. So we've just got the one-way exit from Littleton. It's really important to note here that Littleton or any vehicles can exit Littleton at any time through those exit points, but coming into the Littleton Township will be residents only. Now, we will be running through the same program that we did last year, where we've got vehicle access passes. They're going out to residents at the beginning of March with a resident letter drop to inform them of all things SailGP and what to expect on those race days. Just quickly before you change slides, Alex, on this traffic management plan, it does say proposed traffic management plan, but as of Friday, last Friday, we had the council subcommittee meeting, and this TMP was approved. So a lot of stakeholder engagement has gone on to date, and we've set up a lot of working groups and regular meetings with key stakeholders. We've got listed there bullet point, and I'm sure we can share these slides afterwards of what those meetings are. And below there, it summarises no particular order, and definitely not the full list of stakeholders, but our key stakeholders that we're working closely with. For example, Christchurch City Council, Christchurch Zen, Waka Kotahi, ECAN, Tunnel Control, etc., as well, of course, FENZ and New Zealand Police, and everyone in Littleton. So moving from what we've done to date, and that will continue, what we have following, as I mentioned earlier, we've got the resident letter drop and a vehicle access pass that will be distributed. Now, from last year, we were aware that one vehicle access pass per household was not enough, but so we are setting up a room in the Littleton Library 2 weeks prior to the event, for 2 days a week, to allow residents and business owners to come and talk to us face to face, and also obtain additional VAPs or vehicle access passes as they require them. And we will be signing those out to specific addresses as well, so we can understand the volume of traffic that's actually coming in and will be around Littleton. In terms of public communications, that's I'm sure you might have seen it already on a few posters or flags around the city, but coming soon will be media releases and press articles. There's print advertising, which is in papers, social media, so that's online, paid and organic, many conversations about it, radio announcements, so allowing us to really reach a significant group of residents or people to let them know that it's that the event's going on and that it's happening, and to pay attention to the road signs. So there will be signage placed around. VMS is the virtual messaging signage. So they're the big road boards that will go out 2 weeks prior to the event, explaining the road closures and those critical positions of where people can access. As well as that is the ticket holder communication. So all our ticket holders got their tickets through Ticketek, and they'll be communicating through push notifications that we need to send out to ticket holders. And I'll talk more about that shortly. One thing that we do mention here is the marketing toolkit. So that's in the design phase at the moment. The marketing toolkit is designed primarily for Littleton business owners, and it gives them an opportunity to be able to promote their venue as well as supporting the event. So it might be, when looking into it, but for an example, for the America's Cup, we had things like posters in walls, posters in windows and bunting and things like that. So we're just looking at it at the moment. In terms of any communication from anyone needing to get hold of us now or wanting to contact us, we've also got a email address that's set up and checked continuously. It's a hello@salgpnzl.com, and we have not seen a huge amount of queries come through that channel as yet.
I think that's us in terms of...
Sorry, I didn't mention the transport. So in terms of getting the stakeholders actually to the event site, sorry, not stakeholders, the ticket holders to the event site, we have set up a huge transport operation, which is starting from the CBD. So the bus mall, as we call it, will be located on Armagh Street, just outside of Te Pai. And the first bus leaves there at 11 o'clock in the morning. The last bus to the event site will be at 2:15 p.m. to be on site for the racing starting at 3. Then on the return trip, we have buses ready to leave at 4 p.m. However, the first bus is likely to depart at 4:30 p.m. And head back into CBD. Alex did mention earlier, and I'll just like to mention it again, that we do have a bus that is also travelling or doing a continuous loop from the event site through to the Littleton CBD and return throughout the day to allow maybe the earlier spectators that arrive at 11 o'clock to come into Littleton Township and hopefully see Littleton.
Thank you, Emily. I've noticed there's a few other people that are online now. Maybe we could have some intros so we know who's there.
Could we stop sharing? If Alex stops sharing, we'll be able to
Oh,
see.
yes. And Alex, it was really good proposal. We understood it all. Now we can't see your faces. So do you mind taking? Thank you.
Here we go.
Lovely. So who have we got? We've got Alistair. Oh, we've
got Lauren, Alistair, Karina, and Rachel here, the Christchurch NZ team. So we're going to talk you through a little bit more from our side, I think, now. So just from our perspective, thanks for taking the time to catch up and learn a little bit more. And thanks to just our GP team for the really detailed update. We want to acknowledge that this has been an incredibly tight time frame, and in my career, I've never pulled together anything of this scale, what is essentially 10 weeks of this. And so we've been really fortunate that we've got a really amazing team internally with City Council, Environment Canterbury, Littleton Port, but also Sale GP. We've been able to take on the learnings from 2023 and apply them to this year. So the learnings that you have heard have been about how we get better value and maximise the opportunity for Littleton in particular. And so the Sale GP team have been really open to how we can work with that community to increase the benefits. We've also been working incredibly closely with Te Hapu o Ngāti Whiki. We have an MOU with them, as do Sale GP, around support hapu outcomes. And then we've been working very closely with the Department of Conservation, Te Hapu o Ngāti Whiki, Sale GP, and some independent advisors around the enhancements of the Marine Mammal Management Plan. We are very aware that the Marine Mammal Management Plan is of great interest to residents, members of the public, and all those with a vested interest in whakaropo. The plan itself, I've just received the final version in my inbox very late last week. It's not something we want to hurry, but we've, the parties who have created the plan have taken on board a lot of the lessons around 2023 and how we can improve the protections for the dolphins. So some of those changes, which have been pretty incredible, have included appointing an independent decision maker in the race control room. That independent decision maker ultimately has the go, no go around dolphin presence in racing. We've enhanced the boundaries where we go, no go with racing if there's a dolphin sighting. And what that means is it allows us a buffer area for the F50s to get off foil so that they don't come close to the dolphins. We've also removed some things that didn't work, which probably made the plan last year a little bit overbearing. So we trialled drones in 2023, and we discovered that actually technology in this instance can't be better than real humans in boats observing on the water. So we've increased the number of observers in boats and removed the drones. So we'll be that plan once all parties are really comfortable with where that's at, we'll release the entire plan publicly. We think it's in the best interest of everyone. We're very transparent about what that plan looks like, both on paper and from an implementation perspective. I think that's all. We're really excited about the opportunity of hosting SailGP. We hope you are all as well. Sorry,
something's happened with your volume. Sorry, Lauren, you've just got very quiet.
Oh, that's okay. Not saying anything important anyway, so I'll hand it back to you.
Great, yeah. Well, I'll open it up to questions from elected members here. I think, Nigel, did you have one?
Yeah, hey, great work, guys, and it's good to see you working with the community and having this marketing kit. Has there been any consideration? I mean, 22,000 visitors a night is great. To try and get those visitors to come earlier or stay on, with linking other maybe tour activities on the peninsula and accommodation on the peninsula?
Yes and no. Given the very tight time frame, the attraction of visitors has been a little challenged by the fact that the accommodation in the city and the peninsula has already been quite significantly booked out. What we see with SailGP attendees is they do tend to come and stay 2 or 3 nights, which is longer than a major event visitor would often come anyway. We have a Warriors test match in town on the Friday night, which is expanding people coming in. And anecdotally, we can see that there is quite a lot of people who have booked Airbnbs, holiday homes, but even speaking to Autumn Bradley Park, they're absolutely chocker. They've had some cancellations because people couldn't get camper vans. So people, there's definitely a compression of challenges around getting accommodation. But we are also going out to all ticket holders with stay and play messaging. That includes travelling over to Akaroa and exploring the peninsula, and just making sure that we're getting the message out to get greater value from visitors.
Thank you.
Right. Just 2 questions. Thank you for doing the public session you had in Liverton. Was that well attended by the community?
There was, I think we had about 7 people each day, Kathy. And yeah, but I mean, it wasn't super well attended. We had quite a few people come in from the info centre. A couple of business owners came in as well. But yeah.
It felt like it wasn't well advertised for it. And when are you meeting the stakeholders like the business association and that regarding your comms of the event?
We've already met Yeah, we've already with them, and that will just be ongoing. I think Alistair can speak to that from a comms perspective.
Yeah, hi, I'm Alistair. I run the comms team here at Christchurch NZ. Yes, we had a really productive meeting with the Harbour Business Association, along with some of the folks in council on the project team and SailGP. That was out at Naval Point. And from there, we developed a really good, that group is all new. So it's new personalities since the good work we did with them last year. But that said, we've got a good relationship with them. We're particularly working closely with Johnny Gibson, who we've worked with before on plenty of events. And we're doing things like, for example, we're taking their advice on, Lauren mentioned the way we're encouraging both ticket holders as well as that quite significant workforce of 300 or so who are here for a month. They're also consumers and people who would enjoy seeing, they're mostly visitors from the Northern Hemisphere. They're people who come here after the Christchurch event. They have a bit of time before they have to start setting up after the Sydney event. So that's another audience that we speak to. So the Northern Harbour, Johnny and I go back and forth with, hey, here's some of the itineraries that we're suggesting to ticket holders and to that audience. And then they get a chance to feed in and make their suggestions through that. So at this point, we've got a really close working relationship and really just dealing with, ongoing every week talking through details.
Yeah, that would be really good, Alistair. Are you the contact person for comms? Because just this weekend, I've had two of the stakeholders come and express concerns. And I think some sort of better comms or just some relationship building would be quite good, and maybe to clarify how how you would open up Littleton to them. Yeah, they just need a bit more communications about it, I think, and more clarity would be really handy. Yeah.
My understanding from the Littleton Harbour Business Association was that they were having a board meeting early this week and plan to go out to members with some communications by the end of this week. That's their part. In terms of reaching out to SailGP, if they've got specific operational questions, I think Alex shared that hello@sailgpnzl.com email address, which is the best way to talk to SailGP, particularly about those sorts of things. But, they should also be communicating with their essentially representatives in the sense of going through the Littleton Harbour Business Association.
Sure. So I can just send one of the concerns via that hello email to you, and then you can contact the people.
Yeah, that goes written to SailGP. I'm happy to reach out to you after this meeting and give you my email address too, if you think it's appropriate to go to the host city agency. We're obviously in really close communication. We've got a really close working relationship with SailGP's communications team. So essentially, we would be discussing the same issues.
Thank you.
Tyrone?
Well, you go ahead because I've got 8. I've got heaps.
I think I've asked the questions here, right?
Thank you everyone for a good presentation. I've got 2 questions actually. One is about marketing toolkit, how it will be available and how businesses in Littleton and Greater Banks Peninsula could benefit from it. And the second question is about the statistics that you shared. Some of the statistics you can segregate from the mainstream statistics like electronic transactions based on the event. But how do you measure the number of stays, not just economic impact of that, positive impact on the community, but other aspects? Can you share that slide and I can point out those, please, Alex?
Sorry, I'll share it now.
Yeah.
While you're sorting that, can I just make a request of Lauren before you go? It might be a really good opportunity while you're here to update us on cruise ship stuff for a couple of minutes, if that's possible. Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry about this, guys. Technology. Where is it? Here it is. Can you see that?
So
Yeah.
Yeah, travel outside host region, that I believe is 55% increase total visitors nights. How do you separate those two segments, for instance, that it's because of this event that has improved? What is the methodology behind that?
That's quite a detailed question, Asif, that we can send you the methodology on separately. However, in simple terms, ultimately we track ticket sales, then we take a cost benefit analysis and undertake surveying to gain additional information about length of stay, additional spend, and then we aggregate it together. This is one of our highest visitation events in the city, and it's got one of our highest event satisfaction. So yeah, without getting too much into the methodology, I can send that to you separately.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, thank you. And about marketing toolkit, please. Yeah, how it could help.
So, like we said before, we'll be sending that out through all the various channels through the Littleton Harbour Business Association. We can send it directly to yourselves, work with Pen and the team around getting it through any community board channels. So the marketing toolkit is ultimately so that local businesses can align themselves with the event and work through how they can make the most out of the destination hosting SailGP.
And that include Accra as well, or is it just Littleton businesses?
Sure, it's open to anyone, any business within the wider Christchurch region, and we're encouraging things like watch parties. So if there's hospitality venues in Akaroa or Littleton, or certainly here in the city, there's one happening at Riverside Market. So hospitality venues can get access to SailGP Live and host watch parties where people can go and have friends and family and have drinks and food and watch live racing.
Great.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Madam Chair. So I've got a whole bunch of questions that I'll rattle through in no particular order. So whoever knows how to answer it can answer it. So the shuttle, so that's a really good innovation. So thank you. So what's the time? What time will that be running? So that runs from the site into the town centre of Littleton, right?
Correct. Yep. So
and it runs in what time? Through what times?
It'll just be continuous. So the first bus from the city will arrive at the race stadium at approximately 11:20, 11:30, and then it will just be a continuous loop. So we're looking
until when does it? So when will it stop running?
It would stop running, I guess, just before racing. We can confirm the times and then start back up at 4 o'clock, 4:30 when the racing stops to get people back into Littleton if they'd like. We're also looking at possibly if there's a lot of spectators that post-racing go into Littleton Township, we could do a couple of the bigger buses back into the city later that after, evening to get those spectators back.
So if it picked up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, when would it stop running?
Well, the race stadium shuts at approximately 7 p.m.
Okay. Cool, thank you. And is there any kind of fan zone kind of going to be created in Littleton Town Centre at all?
We did discuss that with the Business Association. Given the time frames, there was a lack of screens available and all sorts of logistics issues, but we also felt that there would be greater hospitality benefit from these watch parties. So the watch parties in venues like Wunderbar and other bars and restaurants in Littleton.
That's cool. Yeah. No, that's good. Okay, that's good. That's good. Thank you. And will the market be operating on the Saturday?
Yes.
It does, but okay, cool. And in terms of the road closures, I note that one of the the road's going to be closed in Governor's Bay, right at the junction, right on the intersection there where where Dyers Pass Road comes into Governor's Bay. Why there? I mean, why wouldn't traffic be allowed all the way up to sort of Cass Bay, really? I mean, it's not like you can get a view of the course from any location along that road.
Yeah, so to be honest with that, the traffic management needed to set a perimeter that was going to be easily maintained for vehicles to turn around and be directed elsewhere at a point that is far enough away from the event site, and also to not cause any congestion on Governor's Bay Road with the two-way traffic, or one-way traffic, sorry. So it is a bit far, but it is, in terms of safety, the perimeter, the temporary design was put in place to protect that perimeter.
Thank you. So if I lived in Governor's Bay, along Governor's Bay Road, between Rapaki and that road closure, how do I get to my house? Do I have to go through the Littleton Road Tunnel?
Yes, correct. Yes, so that is the detour between 12 and 6 p.m.
That would be monstrously inconvenient, I would say. If I lived in Governor's Bay, I'd be pretty unhappy about that.
We've had some feedback from Governor's Bay residents last year, and it was about being better prepared. We have looked at all scenarios, and the fire risk is very high. So we need to make sure that the egress for emergency vehicles is prioritised. I think we can engage with that community in a meaningful way. And, they can exit, they just can't they have to, between 12 and 6, go around if they want to go to Littleton.
I mean, if there was some way did Governor's Bay people get residence passes?
They do, yes.
So if there was some way for, if there was some way that could be resolved just so that people could access their houses without having to go through Littleton, that'd be helpful. But anyway, so I haven't heard anything about the other side of the harbour, Church Bay, because the secret's out, right? Like, everyone's going to go over there because they know that that's the best view of the racing. From, if you can go to Church Point out onto the promontory there and basically have the best view anywhere. So are we doing anything? Have we got any plans around traffic management around there, and just sort of creating a space where people can congregate? Because it could just get pretty unwieldy, I'd imagine.
So the traffic management plan is designed to manage the flow of traffic. Obviously, and I am also similarly aware of people who are going to Church Bay to do watch parties at Batches and that kind of thing. We want to encourage that. We can only control what we can control. And what we found last year was that the majority of people who were viewing were doing so parking on Summit Road and on this side. We'll keep a watching brief on that. We've got Fire and Emergency New Zealand completely across the entire plan. And so that's something that we're outsourcing to people who are specialists in this.
Right. Because even like the provision of toilets over in Church Bay, some toilets in the, I don't know, this might be impossible to do, but like where the Foursquare is, right? Because there are just no public toilets sort of convenient to there. And you can just imagine people kind of congregating sort of in that space.
Yeah, there's also no parking really. It's a challenge.
We are, from council side, council are providing some public toilets, so portable toilets will be installed in strategic locations around what we call vantage points around the harbour. So wherever we're expecting people to crowd up and view, we're going to pop some public toilets around there. So hopefully that'll solve that one.
And if I was like a coffee vendor or someone like that, I'd probably be, a mobile one. I'd probably be wanting to get over there and sort of get somewhere. I mean, is that something that's available to people to do? They just, park up somewhere and sell coffee or whatever it is? Or is that just totally outside of scope?
Yeah, I think that falls under a council standard process. So if a coffee vendor wants to park up somewhere, they'll apply for a permit to operate as normal.
Go then.
And just one final thing. Well, two final things. So getting into Littleton, right? Like, so it's going to be residents only, and you've got to have a pass. Is there, again, like, I'm not quite sure why we need to be so restrictive just getting into Littleton. Like, if you come into Littleton Town Centre, you're not really going to be able to have much of a view of the racing anyway. I mean, is there any way that we can allow non-residents in?
So I guess there are other ways for non-residents to access Littleton. This is about vehicle access. You can still catch the number 8 bus in, you can still taxi in. So there still are other ways to get into Littleton. It's only between midday and 6. So what we ideally want to be encouraging people to do is looking at ways to get into Littleton that aren't driving. If they want to come and view from a hospitality precinct or someone's house, it's really about reducing the congestion from a parking perspective in Littleton Township and on the road so that emergency vehicles can access. So we can be more publicly communicating other ways to access Littleton if you want to get in there between 12 and 6.
That'd be good.
We're working with ECAN about the number 8 bus, so there are other ways to get in.
Thank you. Because, you know, I mean, and Lauren, you know, we've talked about this, but I guess the thing that I just really want to get across is that last year, Littleton was a ghost town on the Saturday and the Sunday, and we lost, you know, that was a real missed opportunity. So I don't really want that to be repeated.
Well, look, we totally agree, and I genuinely hope you guys are hearing that we're trying to work through scenarios where we can do this. The watch parties to us were the greater opportunity than doing a fan zone, because that's where spend.
That's cool.
So
no, I like
we will
the idea
keep
of that.
working through that.
And look, I'd just like to add the context. I chaired the public engagement forum that involved a lot of key stakeholders from Littleton last year. The overwhelming concern of that group, and speaking for their community, was that Littleton would be inundated, that they wouldn't be able to access their
Yes, totally. I get the irony of that. Yes.
Yeah. And look, and it may well, and I think we all agree that it may well have been slightly over-engineered, which is why. But a lot of it came down to, you know, people misunderstanding that they couldn't get into not realizing the markets were open, and so that has been a key focus of all our comms so far. Right now, we're, you know, I'm just about to sign off today on a sort of, you know, some of the stuff that goes into local magazines that basically hypes up the event. But it also makes the point, Littleton's open, get there in the morning, the market is on, you can leave Littleton at any time, that it's just around protecting the community themselves, who have pleaded with us to protect them from, you know, not having another Festival of Lights type traffic situation. So,
okay, no, that's good. That's given me a lot of assurance, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. And I am aware of the time, but we've got one more question from Kathy. That was okay. Fantastic, efficient. Thank you so much, everybody, but we do want to hold on to Lauren, if that's okay, to hear about cruise ships. But we're very excited about SailGP. We just want everybody to be at the end of it as excited about it as we are. So that would be really good.
Okay. That's cool.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that sounds quite good.
Okay, cruise. So how will I summarize it? I'm shockingly impressed by how quiet my inbox is on the subject of cruise. I mean, there are still a couple of small challenges, but for the most part, we seem to have been able to strike a balance between managing the volume of people coming into Christchurch, getting a little bit of impact still in Littleton, and not overwhelming the number 8 bus. The proof really is in the pudding this week and last week, with school going back and making sure that school students have still been able to access school, and that seems to be going really well. We have we've begun our research project, so that's started with rapidity in mid-January to undertake sort of a 4 wellbeings approach to understanding the impact and value of cruise from a social, economic and environmental perspective. And we're sort of very interested as to where that's going to land. It is, there's nothing like it in New Zealand from a research perspective around the impact of cruise on communities. And I think that will tell us a lot more about how residents are feeling, but also how visitors are feeling. Is the economic impact as great as we think? Is the environmental impact? What's the trade-off? You know, I think that's going to be really informative. We're starting to undertake a full traffic debrief at the moment, so that any learnings that we've taken on from this year can start to be applied to the 24-25 season already. But for the most part, I can't believe we're in the situation we're in, actually. I think if you'd asked me in August what the season was going to be like, this is best case scenario. But you might have a different perspective from on the ground.
Oh, well, I don't think so. That's why we have to ask you, because it has been quite silent, which is a beautiful thing. Thank you. I've just got a question around when that research is commencing, because that's going to be really interesting, and I think a lot will come out of that.
So the survey data is, we've signed off the surveys last week. I think the team are going to be in touch with Pen and her team about channels to get that survey out over the next month. We wanted to wait until the season was embedded before we asked for residents' perspectives. We wanted to be able to make the changes to the transport system before we asked for people's perspectives. And so I think now's a good time to go back to residents and say, okay, well, how are you finding it this season? The timing of all the results is not really until the end of June. Spend data is quite late. It's a few months after the fact. So we'll be compiling everything in April, May with a report out in June. So the research company that's been appointed is NZIER. We went through a full tender process. And yeah, it's quite exciting.
Yeah, agreed. Well, that's great. Thank you. And I think, have you got any questions from members? We're just happy it's going so well.
Well, I just think it's just worth noting just the work that Lauren's put into this. Has been, I mean, the feedback's been incredibly positive. I mean, you can't please all the people all the time.
Yeah. And,
you know, there are still the concerns people have over, you know, just the cruise industry in general.
Yeah.
But as in terms of how it's being managed on a practical level in Littleton, it's really been really successful. And you're still getting that sort of feed of kind of tourist dollars, I suppose, flowing into Littleton and especially into Christchurch. I think people genuinely, despite the gripes, people genuinely like seeing the ships come into Littleton for the most part. Not always, again, like you can't please all the people all the time, but again, just acknowledging the work that Lauren and others have done around this has been, you know, it's been really phenomenal.
Yeah, and that process is quite unique and so many different partnerships involved in that process. That hard work was done right there and then, and it's really encouraging to see that that's all paid off, and in fact that potentially encouraging to get to the nitty-gritty at the start of any complex issue from a community board point of view, to get right into the middle of it at the start so that we can figure it out so that it doesn't impact later on. So good stuff. Thanks for your help with all that.
Oh, thank you. I mean, full team effort, and you know, ECAN and the port have been fantastic. Council have been amazing.
Yeah, that's true.
Of course, Ken's team as well, just wonderful humans. So we're very lucky to work alongside your amazing community board staff.
Yeah, teamwork. Thank you very much for your time, Lauren.
Thanks,
good luck.
guys.
Thanks.
Ka kite.
Yeah. Awesome. And do apologise to Felix, we're running a little bit late here, but we've got Apara proposed new lease. Felix should be online. Hello, Felix. Thank you for your patience.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
You can see a shadow.
Yes.
Yep.
Howard's watching on live stream.
Oh, and Howard's watching a live stream because he's in Zooming now. Okay, sorry about that. Howard. Can you hear us, Felix?
Yep.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Sorry I couldn't come over.
Okay.
Sorry you can't see me. I think it's.
I know what it was like.
I think the report speaks for itself, really. Have you got any questions? Has anyone got any concerns?
Okay, yep, all right. Let's go to that.
You know, I should ask a question. I just, the membership of the bowling club has been all over this and understand it all, read it. And,
Yep. Carol. I've been in close contact with Carol.
Okay, cool.
I mean, there's not. It's really just a continuation of the status quo as far as they're concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks pretty straightforward to me. I mean, it's yes, it's not altered any of the boundary line. I see the building is. Yeah, the building is still shared, which was a contentious issue.
The building's still shared. You know, they do their best with the what maintenance they can do. We have that obligation, you know, to deal with work that is not fair wear and tear. So replacement of, you know, where required. But it's a small building.
Yeah, it is.
And very popular,
In terms of rental, we're just charging them a ground rent. There may be a change of policy in regard to council buildings, but we've been waiting for that for some time. So in the meantime, we've just continued with the status quo as far as rent as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Tyrone, you had some comments or questions?
I think it's kind of been answered. Okay. I'm just kind of mindful, of the with this whole area. There's a lot of stakeholders who don't necessarily always see eye to eye over everything. So looking at the people who are closest to it, I'm not seeing any red flags. So that's good.
I'm happy to move it.
Okay, good. Right.
Okay, the mover, Nigel.
I'll second,
All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Okay.
Carries. Thank you, Felix.
Easy. Thanks
very much. Cheers. See ya.
It's amazing what you learn when you see things like this. There's a paper road going straight across the beach.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So we should fill that in and put that road there, and that could be part of the sealing off the rubbish there and creating a higher peak for inundation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Felix. Have a good day.
Okay. Thanks. See ya.
Sorry, usually in the middle of the.
Howard, if you're with us, Howard, we need to have your camera on to be counted as part of the meeting, apparently. That's the official word that I'm getting. Is that a possibility, Howard?
You're muted. Can you unmute and just let us know that you're there, Howard? Howard, can you hear us, Howard? Are you able to unmute and speak to us?
It says only 3 can, so there is no 4th person.
Okay.
I might just step back from this one. Just
okay, thank you. Yeah, thanks for letting us know.
Just because.
Is that noted by Shrees? Thank you. I think we'll just we'll carry on and see where we.
I think he has a really poor connection because it's just not connecting even with the audio.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got a ghost tower that's that way. It's just just in and out.
Yeah.
Okay. What are we up to? Dane. Yeah. Welcome, Dane. And what's that to do? Oh, discretionary response fund. Go on.
Yeah, did you guys want me to do an introduction? I've only met a few of you already. So yeah, this is my I'm a community development advisor, been in here for a few months. This is my second stint at council. So I was previously in the engagement team and also in the governance team, what was then Shirley Papanui, or no, Papanui Innes. Well, yeah, whatever name was going by the time. And I've since done kind of 4 years at the Rata Foundation. And that's sort of, been kind of where I've really cut my teeth on, the funding space, and I'm really gotten involved in that. I've been involved in a range of projects throughout the South Island and in that region. And yeah, I grew up locally in Lincoln, so on a dairy farm. So I've always sort of wanted to, return, kind of be a part of a more rural community and focus more on that. So that's kind of what led me here. And very much someone that enjoys their time in Whakaropo, involved in the ocean swimming community there. So yeah, this is a really exciting opportunity for me to be a part of a community that I'm passionate about. Cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to meet you again, and
yeah, good to meet you.
Look forward to having you on the team.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and now to the report. I mean, it's not a hugely complicated proposal, so I'm happy to open to questions. If there's anything you want me to highlight or answer on that, then happy to do so.
A lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, I think it's good to see the combination of it's an environmental project in the sense that it does support the that side of it, but primarily it is about providing lowering the risk of fire danger in the region.
Sorry, thanks, Lynn. It's really good to see them doing a fire risk analysis report. Do you think that these sorts of things can be replicated, like around Littleton even? Because there's great concerns about fire, and how would they kind of approach this if they wanted?
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly take. Oh, sorry. Yep. I'm certainly happy to take learnings from this as well and see how it can be applied. So this is in this scenario, there's a number of kind of large tracts of land, large landowner developments, and it's sort of centered on one major location. So I think if we can sort of find there's a lot of native bush here in Littleton, and so find who the key stakeholders are around that, we could certainly look at different options. Yeah, it's not a hugely expensive undertaking, but I do understand that the contractor is doing quite a bit of this for free, so it may vary depending on region. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. It's a good proposal. A while back, City Council did some fire analysis around Peninsula in relation to where springs are. Do you look into that study as well?
No, that wasn't something that I was aware of.
It was done. I spoke to Paul Devlin, and he knows about that, and that study was forwarded to Fence. The person I spoke there is Brian Kewen. He knows about it, but between those two, I can't seem to get hold of that study. But if you somehow find that would be very helpful, because what I have learned about that study was some good outcome that would be helpful for this project. And if you do find one, please forward that to us. It would be helpful for us as well.
And what's the study?
Study was done analysis of the springs around Peninsula.
Okay. Yeah.
And where there was a possibility that we could form reservoirs on the upper hills.
Okay.
Because last year I spoke to Paul, and
and you're just asking Dane in relation to this application because it's a fire risk thing. So Dane probably won't have delved into fire. He just would have looked at this application.
However, Paul was involved in this as well, so he has worked with the group too. So he may have considered it.
So, yeah,
It's a good-
so
good
you're
project.
requesting appropriate staff to send that to elected
Yeah.
members if it's available.
Yes, yeah, please.
Great.
It's a good project. We need that
Fantastic.
in multiple places.
Any other questions? Looks like it's well covered there. So,
Yeah.
to approve the grant, we have funds towards the fire risk analysis report. Can I have a mover, please? So, and a seconder, Kathy, all those in favour?
Good.
Against? Carried. Wonderful.
And just noting that I didn't vote on that.
No, yes, noting Tyrone. Abstained. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave?
All right.
Ka kite.
Ka kite.
We're on to our
Area
report. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. It has a limited amount of content because it's been over the summer period. But Trisha, our recce, did quite a bit of in there before she disappeared for a well-deserved long break.
She gone away for a while?
She's actually back tomorrow now. She's
Okay.
been away for a month though.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. And so there's an attachment to this report, which is the Funding Strengthening Communities Fund Monitoring Report. There's a lot of information in there about what has happened to the funding that you have provided to a multitude of groups. So that's always a good read. And what else? We're happy to take questions.
Kitty, yeah, that basketball event was very successful. And just from that, one of the younger persons would like to maybe have a chat with Trish on how they can and do more volleyball at the rec center and stuff. So
yeah,
email Trish.
Sure.
I mean, put them in touch.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, volleyball's great, good sport.
Yeah, basketball, very good.
Right.
It's great detail having it all there.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Just the one on the NZ Day money.
Yep.
Now that goes to Heartlands, but the breakdown of that spend doesn't get seen by the return service people. They don't actually see.
Well, that would be up to how Heartlands and the RSA organise that. I imagine they do.
Yeah,
I imagine they're very involved in how that money is spent, actually.
Oh, they are involved in spending. They don't. Heartlands spend the money. They don't see what it gets spent on.
Well, they need to talk to Heartlands about that.
I think they should. Yeah. Jim won't. He doesn't want to rock the boat, but then Liz wanted to rock the boat. So he's probably just sort of be interested to know what those costs are.
Oh, I would. Yeah, because Heartlands was really the umbrella organisation.
Yeah, that's right.
For the funding, because the RSA, even though they have a bank account,
Yep.
they didn't want to handle the money.
Yeah.
So they're not obviously handling the money, but they would like to know more about it.
I think
they
so.
just
I'll
need
have
to
that
rock the
discussion.
boat and have a chat to Kerry. I'm sure she'll be very approachable. Oh, it's only fresh email today.
I think
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, is it?
Oh, there you go. It's
Thank you.
yeah. We've jumped the gun there, Nigel.
Sorry. Shut up.
Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. So we will just vote to receive this. All those in favour? Oh, no, first of all, I need to move it. Yes, Nigel, speak it. All those in favour?
Right.
Yes. Carried. Thank you very much, Ben.
Cool.
Now under our elected members exchange. All the amazing stuff that's been happening over the summer. All of the different things that we need to get back on. Oh, great, good stuff.
That's good stuff.
Great, good stuff. Just great, good stuff.
Where are we going?
Start here, or can we start here?
Yeah.
So I can, because you'll jump my thunder.
I would not jump that, Nigel. I was very mindful of that.
Let's go.
Okay, firstly, some great progress around this building. I believe the lease for the top half has been signed off to Heartlands this week. I guess how that's managed from there will be a discussion, obviously for the forum, I think, and some sort of controls.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any rules sort of passed on from the council, or whether we're just making it, Heartlands will make their own rules, but it's a good start anyway. Attended this amazing event at Anuku, and it was very, very impressive. It was the presentation, the poetry dinner presentation. There must have been about 60 odd people there. And some very interesting people. We had our local MP, and we had obviously our local councillor, and a number of community group people. But I guess to cut the day down into a few words is to say that they've been working very closely with this this business that's been set up. It's won the international award at COP20 this year, and it's based in it's a Dutch scientist and another partner who are operating out of Zambia and Namibia. Oh, no, it's one of those. And they're growing kelp, and the kelp. Some of the facts about kelp: it grows 12 centimetres a day. It secretes more carbon than anything else, absolutely anything else. Like it's better than a rainforest. Now they plant these they seed and plant this kelp and harvest it and turn it into amazing superfoods, leather, all sorts of stuff. And the stuff that breaks off and drifts out, that secreted carbon drops to the ocean floor in the deep water and virtually never comes back, or you can't say never in a geological term, but it stays there for a very, very long time. And they've got a 200-year vision for the peninsula, and this kelp farming is they want to establish it here in the harbour, and they have got rights to a piece of water down there between Matt White's Bay and Lucas Bay, down far side and right hand side, and I think it's really, really fantastic. And it was actually blew me away because we had these international scientists speaking to us. And it was it was great leadership. It showed a real good collaboration, and they want to bring the community with them. It was a fantastic day out. I was really pleased, and the food is second to none.
It was very good.
So that's about that, really. That's a bit it for me, but I'm sure Asif and Tyrone might want to add to that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nigel.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, I'll start with that meeting. It was definitely very fantastic, and there has been a few proposals in the pipeline that are developing. I don't know what the current legislation, whether it allows it or not, so that will be discussed when they put the proposal forward. Another meeting that I attended at Muku was in January. I think Lynn was there as well, about climate change adaptation plan. That was very good, and some projects that were shared. That was quite interesting. Actually, showed a real build up community resilience around gardening and food production that they have started, working on here at Muku. There are other projects around in the peninsula, and quite keen gardeners. They work actively and support each other. There are quite a few of those in Pigeon Bay and Lebons that I'm aware of, pretty much self-sufficient gardening. And that learning about that project was quite a good one, because they had talked about it in the past, but this time they were doing it. So that was good. Second is, last year we had a community resilience group had a meeting with civil defense. They came over here and then we discussed quite a lot of options, and the key element that we discussed the most was communication. And we were told that civil defense is working at the moment on a plan, and they hope to develop a radio system, make the radio system which was present in Accra functional sometime this year. So I would really great if the staff could find out that where they are and how it would look like. So we looked at the radio systems here in this building, that they were there stored but not functional, and the same at the library, stored but not functional. So it would be really good to see where it goes. Heritage Park car park. I don't know if you had a chance to go up there. The committee of the Heritage Park, they had decided to go ahead and develop the land as they go, while project put forward in the LTP would catch up and might add to the ceiling of that car park. So they have done really good work. I would encourage to just pop down and have a look at the car park, which looks really nice. Initially, you could only park 4 cars. Now it has gone up to 10 car parks. So it looks really good. Thank you. That's all from me. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah. All right. Oh. Okay, yeah. Don't mind. Sorry, I was just making some notes based on what Asif was just talking about. I don't need to, well, just, yeah, the event at Akaroa on Saturday was Adornuku. So Asif was there, Nigel. We had ECAN councillor there, Genevieve Robinson, Vanessa obviously, and other luminaries. That was bloody good. And just the work that Ornuku are doing in restoring the health of Akaroa Harbour is pretty amazing. So yeah, that kelp stuff was blowing, but no more to add there other than it's just really, really just, you know, however we can support it, it'll be awesome. O'Kane's Bay Waitangi Day, who was there? You were. I saw you. Well, yeah, I'll see if you saw you. And that was a really, so I'm on the board of the museum there, but just a really, very few people put in a massive amount of work to get that over the line. I don't think it's really done on the smell of an oily rag, that whole thing, but hopefully that was a good fundraiser. But it was just a really good event. There were about 2,000 people there. Not that I got to see it because I was pouring pints for the pretty much the duration. And do I see you there, Pen?
No, I never made it to the bar. And you didn't leave the bar. I was there. It was lovely.
Yes, I thought you were. That's right. We discussed this the other day, didn't we? Sorry, so many things going on. And you were there with Goldie, so yeah, that's right. And you did that. So that's cool. What else? Diamond Harbour, like, so the proposal for the Māori medium school is kind of going through everyone's familiar with this? It's going through consultation at the moment. I went to a community meeting there. It was very well attended. Went to see the school the other day. So look, I don't want to comment on it in either way, but like there's really good engagement around that. The 2 unsolicited proposals for that site at Hunters Road. So there's the school and also a proposed fire station. So that's happening, but like it's just really good to see the level of public engagement there is there, and really constructive as well. Friday, I didn't go to this, but it did happen, and the mayor and some councillors went to the Tauwhaki National Aerospace Centre opening out on Kaitareti Spit. So that's pretty significant. So that's a joint venture between Taumutu, Bunaka and Wairewa and other partners, and just to paraphrase our former board chair Ruben Davidson saying that again, like, this is the only ward in the country that has a French festival and a spaceport, and so it's quite cool. But so that's happening, and that's an interesting development in this area. What else?
Is that in his maiden speech? Has he done his maiden speech?
No, February the 22nd at 5:30 p.m. to tune in.
Okay,
We'll be there. The Civic Awards. So I'm on the Civic Awards Committee for Council, and so they were on the 16th of December from memory. And so there were 3 residents of Banks Peninsula who got Civic Awards. They were in no particular order: Louisa Eads from Governor's Bay, who's done work on the Jetty Restoration Trust; Judy Thacker, who does everything in O'Kane's Bay; and Victoria Andrews, who we saw here earlier today. And I think it would be remiss of me not to mention that Victoria also received a QSM, as we all know, in the New Year's Honours. So massive congratulations to her. That's about it. I'm just noting that, of course, close to our hearts, there is a by-election going on for community board in Littleton at the moment, and I'm just seeing this morning that almost 1,000 people have voted in it, with 5 days to go before polling day. So, in terms of like public engagement in the community board by-election, that's you don't see those numbers anywhere else in the country, probably. So it's really quite extraordinary. It's not often that you see the community board by-election make the front page of the local newspaper. Not necessarily for the right reasons, but it's there, and it's very much the topic du jour in Littleton. We watch with interest. That's me. Oh, and obviously we're going through the LTP stuff at the moment, long-term plan. Council expect to sign off the draft for that this Thursday, all going well.
Okay, so when
that's just the draft.
I know,
so, you know, so there's
I
months
know,
and months to get
that's
things
the one
right.
we attacked.
Yeah.
Or not attacked.
Yeah. Absolutely acknowledge that not everything will be, but you know, it's a draft.
We'll be thinking of you on that day. Anyway.
On a positive note, in Littleton, we have the Bill Hammond, his iconic artist on the wall of Laugh, which is a very famous wall right now, getting lots of visitors. And at the same venue, they had the Berlin Burlesque of local production, which was amazing, sold out, yes. And once again, small group of people doing amazing work.
The wealth of talent.
That's it.
That's just sourced locally is incredible.
Amazing. Fire risk again is like on top of people's minds. And Casper had their emergency hub kind of meeting, and so they will look at getting volunteers around that work and funding to set up their kit. So just collecting information on residents and all that stuff. And I think Littleton will be doing the same. So it's really good to see that there's some funding going into their Pātaka's on fire risk stuff. So hopefully that can happen in Littleton as well. Lots of roadworks around the bays, and it's been very busy. But I think the residents are appreciating that it's all for the good. So, you know, patients were there and people were, it's good comms as well. Like leaflets were delivered to the residents and things that are posted on the community pages. There was a litter hunt recently, and once again, the data showing 40-60-60-40 recyclables and waste. And so, you know, very proudly saying that they're diverting recyclables and waste not going into the harbour, which is pretty awesome. But I think next steps definitely need to happen. We can't just, volunteers can't keep just, doing these things. However, it raises awareness that we need to do better around to keep rubbish out of the harbour.
And sorry, I forgot to go, even though it was in my diary.
Yes, that's right. I was like, Darren's coming.
Sorry.
That's all right. And I think there was just something that was noted that, where the cruise passengers come and take the bus into town along the fence line of LPC and the road, there's a lot of litter gets blown against there. So it might be a conversation to have between, So it was a great observation to be made, along that fence line there. It was good to see that. I think we had a timeline or a time frame asking about steadfast, and I think there's a recent issue about asbestos probably in the ground and some work to investigate that. Just raising awareness about steadfast. And it's awesome. The walkway up to the Summit Road from from Steadfast Reserve is open, and the community are loving it. So word's getting out, people are enjoying that walk. Still have to go yet when my foothills are head up there too. Whakaora Healthy Harbour or Whakaora Group has a new person, Karen Banwell's finishing up this week. So Brent, I'm not sure, I haven't met him, is taking over. I got a email from a concerned resident of Littleton, but I'm pretty sure there's a wider group. I mean, there's a lot of things happening in Littleton, it being a working port, the Zim Israeli shipping line coming in, and just concerns around, there's been a lot of Gaza protests and stuff happening in Littleton too. And just something just to raise with the board, residents telling us that. So I'll just read something that I got an email regarding, and it just said, what that person wanted to raise was that do we need to take a stand to sanction a country that is way out of line regarding the international law and basic humanity? And because it comes into port and it is LPC, which is, at the end of the day, kind of, port and council and our community. And just notice that, there's protesters in port and stuff like that. So, it's kind of concern for the community.
I've asked for staff advice from the Office of the Chief Executive on that one, Kathy.
Oh, that'll be great because, we need to. Whakaora and Kaimahi for Nature put a flyer on weeds in Whakaropo. So they're like 18, I think, different weeds. And so they're kind of raising awareness with residents on the weeds around there. Yep, that's all. Thank you.
It's a lot. My Wariwa hat on. So the AV show was held last month. A stiflingly hot day. Gosh, it was like 35 degrees, but there was still a good crowd. And so many people were very happy. The favourites are the dog high jump. And the dogs try and jump over the hay bales and how high they get prizes, and it's just the crowd. Oh my gosh, it's like pretty amazing. And then the traditional stuff too, baking of the cakes and whatnot, and the horse events. Very, very good. So fantastic to see that about. It's continued concerns around our toilets in Little River. Staff and everybody's been scrambling to try and figure out how to fix it. Right now, there is portaloos there, which is not great long term, and they've been there for over a month now. But I need to visit the council last week, sorry, Tyrone, for going on about it again.
No, I'll be sorry. Geez, it's important.
It's just the same stuff over and over, but that seems to work. So we've got a lot of stuff.
You can say the mayor took a real interest in it. It's right up his alley for some reason.
If you see him, anybody sees him driving his digger out of town towards Little River, you need to stop him because no, that's great. Good support from everybody to help move that along. So fantastic. Little River Big Ideas. So the Little River Wharewa Community Trust is moving into a phase of inquiring with the community about the next steps of development. They've achieved a lot over the last few years with playgrounds and dog parks and everything, you name it, and being involved in flooding mitigation. It's really, really huge what they do. They're asking the community what they want to do next in the next sort of 5 to 10 year plan, and putting that together and figuring out how we can all be involved in that, and partners in that. There's a lot of roadworks, just like Kathy said, happening specifically on State Highway 75 going over to Akaroa. I want to raise some awareness. I think I'll send some emails out because there's a lot. There's on the side of the hilltop, this Little River side, there's going to be barriers put up all the way up there, and that I think is going on for quite a few weeks. So that's going to reduce it down to one lane. There is resealing from the hilltop down to Devotionals, and that's going to be at the end of the month. So that's going to cause problems on that side. And there's going to be resealing around Lake Forsyth, where the humps and bumps are, in the next couple of weeks. So that's going to be done. So there's a lot of roadworks happening. Basically, if anybody wants to get to Accra, they're going to have to add a few, quite a few minutes onto their journey to get there on time, really. So I'll email you all about that. And just a couple of things, because I'm also a representative of the community board on the Waitaha Primary Health board, and there's a lot of events happening at the moment on Peninsula in regards to rural support. So I'll email that through as well. Mental health is a really important thing. We all know that times and prices just keep going up. So as much information out to people in those rural areas that can get quite isolated is a fantastic thing to do. So I'll send that through. And that's all from me, I think. Thank you.
It's quite a bit going on.
Quite a bit going on. Yes. Great. Should we stand? Say, closing from here, unless there's anything else. Put that on the screen. That's it.
Unu hia, ki te unu te unu, kia wāhia, kia mara, te nākau, te tinana, te wairua, I te ara takata. Koia rā e rongo, whakairi ake ki runga, kia tina, hure tai. Well done.
Nearly.
Not quite, just literally the live stream is dead. Got no